Hi guys! Right now I want to show you how I hand made myself this little MemoryDex box to store my MemoryDex cards in, and this is super simple because I used a found box, so I don't have to make the actual box. I just have to make this little mechanism to have the MemoryDex cards sit into. So if you don't have a box, and this, I grabbed a new box. This was just a gift box from a little dollar store I found, and I think it cost me $3, something like that, but so they're super easy to get a hold of. If you don't have one of these and want to make your own, I will leave a link down below to a really good tutorial I found here on YouTube from Crafty Mermaid Mom, and she shows you how to make the entire box from start to finish, covered beautifully. I just can't really be bothered doing that, so I just bought a ready-made box. So when you're buying your ready-made box, the only thing that you want to make sure is that it is going to be wide enough to fit a MemoryDex card in. So this is a MemoryDex card from one of the Heidi Swap dies. It also has pieces hanging off the side of it, which is a style that I enjoy doing in the MemoryDex cards, so I want it to be able to fit. So the actual card is 4 inches wide, and I want to leave a little bit of room on either side so that I can have all these sort of hanging off pieces and they still fit nicely into my box. So the original box was, it's about 4 3/4 inches, and this happens to be exactly the same width. So it is 4 3/4 inches by 5 1/4. This one obviously is much longer. It's 7 inches long. So if you're using a found box, it can be whatever length you want. It just needs to be this way. This is the hardest part with this one. It needs to be at least 4 inches to fit a regular MemoryDex card, and 4 3/4 is the size that I'm going to use. I mean, honestly, you could make any size box you want because we're going to add these rods in here, so the cards will sit in the middle of the box no matter what the dimensions are, but that is the dimensions of the box that I am going to use today. So to create these little rod pieces, I ended up finding this 5mm balsa wood dowel. I got mine at Spotlight, and I think I got like a meter of it, came in a meter length, and that was a few dollars too. And I've already done this box, and I'm going to have enough to do this box and at least one more box after that. So super economical, really easy to work with because balsa wood is super light. You don't need a saw or anything to cut it with. I just used a craft knife. If you can't find this square balsa wood dowel, which fits these holes for the MemoryDex perfectly, I also found these little wooden rods that fit as well. These are actual wood though, so you might need a saw to cut them. I'm not sure you'd be able to cut them with a craft knife. And the other thing that I've seen people use is paper straws, which seems like a super easy, economical option as well. So anything like that, it just has to fit in the MemoryDex holes. So cut yourself a MemoryDex, take it with you to the hardware store or your craft store and see what you can find that fits through the holes. Now to actually construct the box, you're going to need 2 pieces of rod that fit the long length of your box. So mine's going to be 3 1/4, I think it was. I've already cut one here just to make it a little bit easier. You can see this fits into the box perfectly. And I'm going to cut another one. So I'm going to use the first one I cut as a guide and just draw a little pencil line on here. And then I just put my blade on top and rock it gently back and forward, and it just sort of slices through the wood. Until it snaps through. If you've got any rough edges, you can use a bit of sandpaper to even those out, or I find a nail file works really well too. And then you just want to make sure that it fits snugly, but not too tight, into your box. So now I've got my 2 rods. Now to sit these rods, you don't want to, we don't want to stick them straight into the box. There needs to be a little gap underneath them for the little cards. The MemoryDex cards have these pieces underneath. So the rod needs to be about a 1/16 of an inch up from the bottom, and the way we're going to do that is create a little platform for these rods to rest on. So I cut just some chipboard. It's just a sheet of chipboard here. It's not a 1/16 of an inch high though, so I cut 3 pieces for each side of my box. And these are about... they're about 1/2 inch wide. You can make them however wide you want, but bearing in mind that this is going to, it's going to take up room in your box. So you don't want to make them too wide. 1/2 inch seemed to work fine for me. And I'm going to layer up 3 of these to fit on each end. Like so. Now I'm going to glue all 3 of these together. And because my box is just this nice craft color, I'm not going to cover it. I quite like the craft. I am going to decorate it in just 1 second. You could go ahead and paint this if you found a craft one that wasn't, or any color box that wasn't a color that you liked. You can like paint it, or you could wrap it in paper. I'm going to do some stamping on mine. And so because it's craft, the chipboard actually doesn't look too bad in here. Otherwise, you can go ahead and just add a strip of pattern paper to the top of it if you want to as well. So now I've got my little platforms. They both fit nicely into the box here. And we just need to measure where we're going to attach these 2. Oh, and I've written the dimensions down for you on the inside of one of these pieces of cardboard. So let me show you how I worked out where these rods need to get connected to. So the first thing you need to do is find the center point of your bit of card. So this is going to depend on how wide your box is. Mine is 4 3/4, so the halfway point is going to be 2 3/16. And I'm just making a wee mark at the halfway point. And then from the halfway point to each side, you need to measure out 5/16 of an inch. And I'm going to do that on both bits of card. So I'm just going to line these up and just transfer these marks over. And then I can erase the center point. So I only need the 2 marks on each side, and we're going to line our dowels up with these marks on the inside, like so, and that will give us the perfect spacing for our MemoryDex cards. Now you can leave your rods totally plain. Again, you could paint them. I made my original box gold because I really liked that look. That's the same sort of look that the Heidi Swap box had, and I decided the easiest way to do that was to use some washi tape, and so far it's held up really well. So I'm going to do that again on these ones. Now the easiest way for me to do it was I turned the washi tape upside down and then just lined up the edge of the dowel with the edge of the washi. Now I found, just to make sure that the washi was actually like stuck down as well as it could be, I added a little bit of liquid adhesive to all 3 sides just to make sure that it stayed stuck down. Now the washi tape that I had just happens to be like the perfect fit to cover 3 sides. And that's all I'm going to cover because the bottom is going to be stuck down. You will never see it. It only needs to cover these 3 sides. So that is totally fine. And then I just use some scissors to trim the washi off flush with the edge. And obviously that just needs a little bit of time for the glue to set up. So I'm going to do both of these rods. Okay, well, I'll admit I went to stamp this box and it is super slick, so the ink did not stick onto there at all. It just smudged off. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave it plain. I actually don't mind the craft and I like the look of the sort of craft with the gold. So like I said, you can do whatever you want with your box. Paint it, leave it plain, wrap it in paper, cover it in washi tape, put stickers all over it, glitter it. That's it, I'm out of ideas. I'm going to leave mine plain and we're going to go ahead and construct this box now so that we can fill it up with cards. So the 2 little platforms, you can adhere these into the box however you want. For the sake of time, I'm just going to use a bit of double-sided tape here. None of this needs to be like, you know, set in stone. It's just paper. It's not, there's nothing going to be too sort of heavy or forceful on here. And you want to glue each end of your platforms into each end of your box, pushing them up against the edge of the box there. Just with your pencil marks showing so that you can see where to glue the rods in next. And I'll admit that's the hardest part of this, is getting these rods glued in place. I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue on each end and then line these up before the glue dries on the inside of those pencil marks that we made. And then repeat with the other one. You can tidy up your hot glue if you need to, and otherwise that's your MemoryDex box made, done. Told you it was easy. And then all we need to do is fill it up with cards. So like I said, if you don't have a ready-made box or don't have access to one, then I will leave a link down below in the description box for the tutorial that I found, which I thought was really good. Let me know down below if you've got any questions, whether I didn't explain anything properly. I will leave any links for any supplies I used that I can find down below, and try and answer any questions that you've got. Otherwise, check back for the next video and we will make some MemoryDex cards to start filling this box up with. Bye guys!